All right, we're going to start this off. Sorry, we hit record, and then my wife called. I'm supposed to pick my daughter up from, she has like volleyball, and then is going to dance. And so, anyways, I got my son to go do that for me, so we don't interrupt the podcast in the middle. But she called right as I hit record, so I was like, "Hold on, Ross, we're holding it ready to go."
I wish I had a kid that was driving. That's for sure. Bail me out of some of those situations.
There's good and there's bad, man. There's like the fact that
I'm sure that's it with everything.
He's breaking cars faster than we can fix them right now. Like losing, I don't know any kid that's lost 2 wheels already. We lost a wheel on the Mustang on a test drive one time. We didn't get the lug nuts torqued. We just did the old impact, give him a couple little clicks on the impact. Not good enough. You need to torque them. You know what I mean? Like I've never had a problem before until you're driving down the road without a tire. And then it's like, okay, I wish I would have just torqued them. So, and a couple weeks ago, his Ranger lost a front tire. The wheel hub just, whatever that thing, it just blows the wheel hubs out. He's already put 2 wheel bearings in it, and
you text me a picture, and you're like, "You want another kid?"
Yeah, exactly. This one's getting expensive. He can drive, Ross. I'll tell you what. You take the bills. I'll send him down there. He can chauffeur you.
Chauffeur my kids around.
Yeah. So yeah, there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons to it. It is really helpful to be like, hey, can you go pick up, especially because I'm getting old, man. I don't like going out at night. And 9:00, he's still wide awake. I'm like, hey, can you go pick your sister up from dance? And he's like, normally he's a little grumpy about it, but he's good. I'm like, gas. So I'll give you some gas money. Okay, he likes gas. That's
deal.
When gas is $6 or $7 a gallon, that's a good bargaining chip. He's like, okay. Oh,
takes a lot of money though to. $20 probably is not going to get them very far.
No, it's not. When you got, no. And over here, I don't know what gas is over there, but over here it's ridiculous because we got these stupid taxes on top of it.
It came down a little bit. I think we're down to, and I don't pay attention to gas because I drive a diesel, but our diesel's about $4.60 right now.
Yeah, we're close to $7. I think I seen $6.59. I think yesterday driving by. I was like, holy cow. Of course, $1 or $2 of it is Washington taxes.
Yeah.
And our governor's hammering on, it's ironic because he's on Facebook hammering on Trump about gas prices up. And it's like, look, man, you got $2. You can, see what I mean?
Yeah, you got 30% of it there. That you own. Yep.
A little bit of reflection, like that's going to be the topic of this podcast is like, hey, customer service, you know what I mean? Like reflection, you can help the situation, but of course they don't want to do that.
No.
So, anyways, like leading into that, the topic of this podcast, I think we're just going to talk about some customer service scenarios this week. I don't know if I stepped in it or not with my social media post Monday morning. Yesterday, but when this comes out, it'll be Monday. But I was going to talk about that scenario, and then a couple other topics we'll roll into. You good talking about customer service?
Yeah, I know a little bit about that since I got to deal with that on the daily, unfortunately.
So anyways, I'm going to tell the story again. So a lot of people probably have already seen it on social media and kind of already have the gist of it, but I just want to start from the beginning. And so I'm going to give the scenario that we came up with. So yesterday morning I got a package and Jess is out. So I'm just going to back up. June 1st, we got an order for 2 map cards to Canada. And they were second day aired, so we had to special order those and get those, drop ship from a supplier, which we did. We got that handled. And then didn't think nothing of it. Well, 15 days later, we get a call that 2 map cards were, essentially did not work. I mean, the ticket that we got was, these map chips don't work. We've tried them in several different devices, 7 different devices, whatever it was, just a lot of different devices, and they just don't work. And I remember thinking, oh, that's odd. You know what I mean? But
especially
again,
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them, multiple devices, but and it's a new customer, and I'm like, okay, well, we do have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and so if they're not satisfied, if those colors or if those map cards, because I have had situations, to be fair, especially up in the Northeast, where somebody will get a map card, and actually, last week, guy hasn't got a map card, put it in there, and had invalid JNX files, right? So the bird's eye showed up invalid, and I haven't heard back because we got that replaced, and I haven't heard back from the customer, so I think that was fixed. But I have had situations in years past where Garmin sends another map card and the same problem, because it's in the coding or whatever in that map chip. It's like the same area has the same failure or whatever, and so it is. I just say that to say there could be a real possibility that if one card is bad and it's in the software, 2 cards could be bad. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that could make sense. So I was like, okay. Anyways, it was like, send them back. We got a 30-day return policy. We'll get them replaced or refunded or replaced or whatever. And so that was June 15th. So 15 days, whatever. Well, July 13th, which is yesterday, we finally get the package. So I don't know how many days that is, but that's over 30 days, right? And we look at the postmark date. So it's like, when did he send it? Did the mail? Nope, he didn't send it till July 8th, right? So he sent it after 30 days. You know what I mean? Like the customer, brand new customer, we've never had an order from this customer before. And it's like, okay, well, why did you take 3 weeks to send it to us? You know what I mean? Like, we talked to you on June 15th and we said we'd take them back, and then you wait 3 weeks and they sent it back. And the other thing was it was they weren't in the cardboard packaging. You know what I mean? So I can't put them back on the shelf. I can't sell them. They just have the little white boxes with the little chip in there, and it's just the product. But and then the third thing was the cards were just thrown in the box, so they kind of rattled around on the dash, driving to Canada, driving back. You know what I mean? Like the cases are just scratched. You know what I mean? Like, you could just tell that they've been used, if that makes sense. No phone number on the order, so we can't call the customer because we don't have a phone number. And so this was the scenario that I've got. You know what I mean? So I'm starting to paint the picture, and I'm leaning on the assumption that this is a customer that bought 2 Canadian map chips for their Canadian hunt, which is like a 5-day hunt or whatever it is. They go up there, they use it, they come back, and maybe they're just, it's like Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, oh, send this back, get my money back, right? I don't say that's what I thought, but I was definitely leaning towards that scenario. You know what I mean? That was the picture that I was starting to paint in my head. And
that's what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, Mike, and so Jess is out for the week. She's on her vacation, and she's the first call. So I have to go by the tickets that I have in the system that she left notes. I could have called her on her vacation, but I'm not going to do that, right? So that's why we have tickets and keep track of it. And anyways, and the other thing is we put those chips in a device, and maps work just fine. We tried on XL, we tried on a 300, no issues with the chips. They work, right? So anyways, I'm leaning towards, no, we're not going to refund. We're not going to refund these, right? What I'm trying to debate is between 0 and 100. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm like, do we just send the chips back and be like, hey, tough luck? You know what I mean? They work. Yeah. You were late. They don't have the packaging and whatever. So like, anyway, so Mike's like, what do you want to do? And I actually tell him, I say, no, we're not going to refund these. Right. And then I tell him, I say, hold off. I said, don't make a decision on this one yet. And I don't know why I did this. I'll be honest. I'm normally pretty hot headed. You know what I mean? When I commit, we commit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's wrong direction or right direction. I'm like, well, nope, we're going this way until we make it right. I don't know. But for some reason, I was like, hold off. I said, let's put the notes in the system, hold off. And why I wanted to pitch this to Facebook, I don't know. It's in hindsight, it's dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, in hindsight, it could have been. Let's just say it made me vulnerable. If that's a good way of me thinking about it, right? Is to hash out this on social is a very vulnerable position for me. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm not afraid of being vulnerable. so I kick it out on Facebook and I explain I explain what I know, which is X, Y, Z, right? And I don't know how fast, so I know. Yeah, and I basically just say, what would you do to my customers, right? So I was like, hey, I trust my customers like 100%. Like, I trust my customers. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do exactly what they say, but I'm not afraid to ask for advice. You know what I mean? Whatever. So that was kind of where I came at.
And your post wasn't like just reading your post. I wouldn't have known which way you were leaning, like leaning towards not refunding it, or you were very neutral on your post. You just laid out the the order date, everything got returned, all that stuff, and then just basically said, what would you do in this situation?
Yeah. And on purpose, right? Because I was trying to not
lead somebody on, or
Yeah, exactly. That is a really good point. And so anyways, hit send. And honestly, I was, if there was any motivation for me, right? And here's just being totally honest with customers is I got to fit, once in a while I got to do these social media posts, and I hate sale, you know what I mean? Get the sweepstakes, you know what I mean? Always go into social media to try to get you to buy something. Like, that's like, at the end of the day, that's what social media is for W. You know what I mean? It's to connect with, but it's to connect with customers. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to use social media, sometimes I'm always thinking about how can I connect with customers. And so this morning I was like, that's a way for me to connect with customers, me to ask them a question and get some real engagement. You know what I mean? So there's my motivation for the morning, right? Is I wasn't doing this to beat up the guy. I left his name out of it. The only clue I had in there was where it was shipped to was Wisconsin, right? So I said, oh, map cards here, and it's shipped to Wisconsin. So, but I didn't put a name in there. I made sure in my post, my picture, I didn't have anything that identified, where it came from or the city or anything like that. And,
but the point of it that it got shipped to Wisconsin, a Canadian card that got shipped to Wisconsin, that was probably kind of a critical detail to put in there, because it could lead to possible motivation for returning the chip or whatever.
Yeah, that was a part there that it was like, if I just said I shipped 2 map cards, and then somebody wanted, I'm like, this was 2 map cards for a traveling hunter. You know what I mean? It's like, the story is I could tell these guys were traveling to hunt, or this guy. And so, that was, you're exactly right. That piece of it wasn't to out the customer or the person. It was to tell the story that's like, hey, this wasn't somebody buying a map card for their area. This is somebody buying a map card that they had to travel a long ways to use. And so, really good point. And so, anyways, so I'll post that, and I don't know. So and I'm trying to figure out how to tell the story from either my perspective. There's like several different perspectives right now. So I'm trying to switch gears. So that's my perspective. I hit enter, and freaking, I didn't even get to read the comments because the shitstorm that happened after that took me away from the computer. You know what I mean? Like, it was no longer social media for me. It was, I had a phone call, a regular, unrelated phone call that I was doing with a customer, taking an order or something like that. And I have it on hold. My boy looks over me, he goes, I said, there's a guy from Canada. He's really pissed off. He wants to talk to you. He says, you're ruining your business about your social media post. And I didn't tell my boy about the post or anything. So he's looking at me like, Dad, what are you doing?
Like, whoa. This is above my pay grade.
Exactly. He's like, you want to take? And I was like, hold on. Let me finish these. So I finished the customer, and I take the call from one of his buddies. You know what I mean? The guy that he went up hunting in Canada with. And he's hot. Like, I don't, he's like, you, because he has a personal relationship. He knows the name of the customer, right? And he's like, this guy's a good dude, and you know what I mean? Like, he knows the customer, not the guy. Oh, he knows both of them because they spent time up with him. So he has a personal relationship with him. So he knows parts of this story that I don't know. You know what I mean? So and it was obvious. And he was, his first thing was, well, how can you tell me? And we're heated. You know what I mean? So he's calling me, you're essentially, and I don't want to say he said you're stupid, but paraphrasing, he was like, buddy, you're making a mistake. He's like, I have been there. You have talked to this customer. You know what I mean? Like, telling me all the reasons why I'm stupid, and probably right. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I didn't know at the time. You know what I mean? So I said, and I argued back. I'm like, what are you? I've never had an order with this customer. I don't recognize this name. He goes, well, you would know their brother's name if you knew his brother's name. And I go, well, what's his brother's name? He goes, he didn't want to tell me right away. You know what I mean? So, it was just that. It was like, well, why didn't you call? He said, why didn't you call the customer? I said, well, because I don't have a phone number. You know what I mean? So every time he gave me something, it was, yeah, I would have called the guy if I would have had a phone number. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's like, I didn't have a phone number. I don't have, anything more than this is the information I have. And then, the discussion got into, well, how can you tell me those map cards are working? You know what I mean? Because I don't know how many guys, maybe a couple guys. He goes, I had a couple different guys. We tried them in a couple different things, and they didn't work. And I was like, well, we're seeing maps on them. I said, what are you comparing it to? And he said, they didn't show roads. And that's when the light switch happened to me, that I was like, oh, are you using a back roads? And he goes, yeah, that's what we ordered. And I said, no, these were not back roads maps. These were Garmin maps, and they will not show roads up there. Like, I don't sell them that way, that they would sell roads up there. And this was kind of the moment where we both started realizing, at least I can only speak for myself, but I was doing a decent job of defending myself, if that's a way to say it. You know what I mean? He's coming at me, and
he's starting to understand your side of it.
Yeah, and I'm understand, and I understand his side. That I was like, oh crap, there's a piece of key information here that nobody, myself and them, did not associate. That this is not a backroads map. This is and so as we continue to talk and find out that it's a brother that doesn't own hounds, I don't think, and was just hopping in the truck of his brother that does own hounds, and so there's a third story that I'll tell you from I'm going to hold off yet on that, but keep on the Canadian. So it was like, yeah, this was not a backroads chip. You're not going to see backroads maps on it. You're not going to see the side road maps. You'll just see some elevation lines and stuff like that. And I said, they're junk for you guys. Like, I don't use them when I go up there. Like, this is not a map card that I would ever recommend somebody going hunting with dogs up in Canada go get. Like, I'm going to tell you, go buy a Backroads BC map or a Backroads Alberta, wherever you're going, go buy the Backroads map, right? And so, that, I don't want to say that brought the temperature down, but it really, and about this time, then the customer, I got a note come on my desk from one of the customers calling. You know what I mean? Like this is the guy that does the map cards, not the customer, the brother, right? So our customer, not the first time customer, but the brother that's ordered with us before, and we've have orders in the system. He calls and there's a cell phone, and I'm like, so I tell the Canadian guy, I say, hey, that guy just called me. So when I finish up here, I need to call him back. And I said, I wish I would have known some of this stuff, because these
those details were important.
They were very important, right? And so they weren't apparent to me, and I didn't dig deep enough to get them.
And
right?
there was a lot of context that was left out of the situation.
So, so for that, and I sent him a message this morning because I got so busy, I never circled back to him. For that phone call, I am very thankful. Like, even though he called pissed off and ready to chew my ass, rightly so. I'm not afraid of getting chewed out. You know what I mean? Like, I always joke, I held the flashlight for my dad. You know what I mean? Like, I can take a little bit of ass chewing. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where I deserve that. You know what I mean? And but I'm also hard headed and I like to argue. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I do love a good debate. You know what I mean? It's like, gets me going. But I am truly thankful that he called. Like, I no bones about it. If you got a problem with us, man, and send it. It's like that old, I don't know if you got the tire factory or whatever, whenever they're like, we want to hear about it. The gal throws a tire through the window of the tire shop. I don't know. It may be a local tire shop. There was a commercial long ago that was like, if you're not satisfied with us, we want to hear about it. And this old granny throws her tire through the car dealership's windshield or whatever. It's like, yep, she's not happy. I'm okay with, they'll throw a rock through my window, but I'm okay taking a little bit of heat if that's what, but in fairness, we both were principled, if that makes sense, meaning we were arguing our side, and we were, everybody listening to the side call would be like, oh shit, they're, you know what I mean? Like,
get out your popcorn.
Yeah. This is not a Facebook fight. This is a real fight. These guys are yelling on the phone or whatever, raising their voices. But he was very principled, and I was principled in the facts, meaning he had his side, he knew his story, I knew my story, and we found out pretty quickly that, okay, there's completely two sides to this coin, and depending on what you look at is what really happened. So that was like, okay, that changes my thought process completely. I still have a product that's 30 days out of our return policy. You know what I mean? I still have the fact that it wasn't shipped in the original packaging, so I can resell it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just put it back on the shelf and resell it or whatever. And to be honest with you, I don't want to resell them things anyways. They just cause problems. So that's not a product, I wonder if I should just take them off my website. Maybe I should. So, so I'm still left with the decision that I got to come up with, which is, what do I do? Right? What do I do in this situation? Yes, I have every right to deny this return because it's out of my 30-day policy. All the things I ask for that to happen doesn't happen. So, but we end our conversation amicably. You know what I mean? Like, say I said, hey, let me call, and I use his name because I asked him, but Dylan Much is the guy. And so I said, let me call Dylan back now. I'm going to, well, thank you for calling or whatever. Let me call Dylan. So I called Dylan back, and Dylan's the coolest dude ever. Like, not upset, not yelling, not nothing. Like, just cool, right? He's like, buddy, this is not how it was. I mean, and I stopped him. I said, Dylan, I just talked to the Canadian guy said, I've already kind of figured out what happened here, and I want to apologize because my intent wasn't to out you guys. You know what I mean? Like I really didn't post that out there to out somebody. I was looking for, feedback, and I almost made the wrong decision here. You know what I mean? But I could tell you, I've already made my decision to refund you guys. I don't think the way that it was portrayed, I said, I can already tell that's not what happened. Okay.
Mhm.
And I said, this is what I've learned. You know what I mean? Like
It was
this
an
is,
honest mistake instead of
this is an honest mistake.
intentional. Yep.
Yep. Exactly. This wasn't intentional. This was an honest mistake. And there was a miscommunication about the mapping type. You know what I mean? So this was, when you said when your brother said they didn't work, I interpreted that as non-functioning. And what was missed was they didn't meet your expectations, meaning everybody was expecting that collar, that chip, to act like a Backroads BC map chip. And I said, that's different than, hey, these don't work, they're faulty. You know what I mean? Whether he used the word faulty or not, but that was the line that we were going down, was faulty chips, let me refund them, whatever. When I get them and they're not faulty, it's like, oh, this is an expectation challenge. And so that changes things, right? Because when you get to the nitty gritty, it's like, okay, whatever. It's not my fault. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my problem. This product didn't meet your expectations. But on the flip side, I have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, which is if you're not satisfied with the product that we sell, in 30 days, you can get your money back. You know what I mean? So on the surface, you look at that policy and go, buddy, you said 30-day satisfaction guarantee. You know what I mean? Like, so what does that mean? You know what I mean? I don't get to pick and choose what you're satisfied about. You know what I mean? Like, I have to be honest with my policy. Now, that doesn't say 45 days. You know what I mean? It's like, you might have, I could get a loophole in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to send the packaging. I could, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How much, do I want to lean on my policy? Do I want to lean on the loopholes I could find? You know what I mean? Like, I could go either. I still have this decision I got to make. You know what I mean? Like, which way do I go? So anyways, so that's where I'm at. And now he talks, you know what I mean? So now that I've kind of stopped him and I said, hey, let me just explain. Number one, like, I'm already, you know what I mean? I'm already putting pieces together that, like, I've learned a little bit since that post, and I haven't had an opportunity to go back to Facebook to fix it. And comments are still rolling in, you know what I mean? Like, they're blowing up. And at this time, now my cell phone is texting, and I'll use his name too. I didn't ask him, but my good buddy Matt McNeely, he texts me, goes, because he'd put on there. So Matt McNeely, and I didn't know it at the time, but he goes, sounds like somebody's being a cheapskate. and Matt McNeely's good friends with the guy, right? And then he texted me, he goes, oh, are you talking about Dylan Munch? Because if you are, there's truly a mistake here. Like, he's a super cool dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's some misunderstanding. And so I'm talking to Dylan, and I tell him, I look at my phone, I go, Matt McNeely's vouching for you right now on my personal cell phone. I said, and so we had a good chuckle about it. And I text Matt. I'm like, yeah, I've talked to him right now. I text him really quick. And so now I'm like, tell me this, basically let Dylan Munch tell me the story. And he's like, buddy, here's how it went down. We were getting ready to go to Canada, and I told my brother, who I don't think he has hounds. He didn't mention this, but I think I learned this piece. So I may be introducing him. I don't know if he has hounds or not, but my brother to call W and get 2 map chips because they know the map chips we need. Right. So that's before he made the order. And so, and this was, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, this is all after the fact. And it's like, this whole scenario started with this customer trusting us. You know what I mean? Like, call W. They'll take care of you. They'll get you the right map chip. And now it's flipped into this narrative that, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's I'm not saying that, but it could have been turned into this narrative. This guy's treating me like Amazon. I'll just order it, send it back, get my money, no harm, no foul. And it's like the very first step was this guy trusted us. You know what I mean? Dylan Much. Hey, call W. They got the card because I've gotten the card before. Now, as you were with me when we figured this out, we no longer sell Backroads maps, right? Because was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, me and you were up lynx hunting.
Yeah, almost 3 years ago now.
So 3 years ago, we were up lynx hunting, and I would put a Backroads map in my 300, and you could put a Backroads map in your drive track. This was before XLs, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, a little bit of technical glitch there. Hopefully we don't lose anything. So I think we were at the point where we were explaining mine and your hunt, right?
Yeah, and how the issues we were having with the back roads up there. Yep.
Yeah, so like I would have a map card of my 300, and and it would work. And so when I put my map card in my drive track, it would not work, right? So this card, same card, would work in my 300, and it would not work in my drive track, right? It may have been backwards. I may have had the drive track that worked in and didn't work. But you would have a card, the same card, that would work in your drive track, but it would not work in your 300. Remember that?
Yep. They were completely flopped. Yep.
Exactly. I could get one to work in a 300, but not in a drive track. Or flip flop. I don't know which one was which, but
there was no consistency.
Yeah, you could get one to work in your drive track, but you could not get it to show up in the 300. And that was two different cards, and like we messed with it quite a bit, trying to figure out, if it was a setting or whatever. And the problem is in those scenarios is it's not a Garmin problem, because Garmin's going to be like, well, that's a aftermarket map. Yeah, we don't support those maps. You know what I mean? They should work, but it's up to Backroads to make a compatible device. You know what I mean? A compatible map. Yeah. Same thing that happened with OnX maps. If you remember, OnX had the same problem where Garmin's kind of like, sorry, if you want to make maps, you got to follow these rules and whatever it is. And they're not super helpful about other companies making maps for their devices. If that, you know what I mean? Like they want to sell maps is what they want to do. Garmin wants to sell Garmin maps. And Backroads, if you call them, they're kind of like, or OnX, you know what I mean? Like pick your aftermarket map company. They're going to kind of blame Garmin, you know what I mean? And they're going to point the fingers at Garmin, being like, well, Garmin, that's a Garmin problem. Our maps are built the same way as they were forever. And why that Garmin device is not showing it, it's a software issue on the Garmin, and Garmin needs to fix that. And you know what I mean? But they're not talking to each other. You know what I mean? So the customer's in the middle going, Backroads, either company could fix it. Garmin can fix it by finding the problem and saying, like, why are we not showing maps? They could. Garmin could fix it. Backroads could fix it. They could be like, why is this device not showing our map? And it shows in another one. Whatever's different, they could fix it. Neither one of them want to, both of them just want to point fingers at the other one. My guess is Backroads, because their business model relies on it, they're probably more inclined to try to fix it. But anyways, I tell that story in the subset to say 2.5 years ago, after that incident with me and you, I was like, I cannot sell a Backroads chip to a customer and then them call me and go, hey, this doesn't work in my 300. And I'm like,
50% of the time.
Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You know what I mean?
Like 50% that's not of the time. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, so I was like, I can't sell a Backroads chip because I don't know if they're going to work or they're not going to work. And the customer is going to come to me and go, I don't care, buddy. I bought a Backroads chip for my 300. I expect it to work. And I'm going to be like, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Send you another one and it works? Maybe it doesn't. I'm going to send you a third one and it works and it does. You know what I mean? Like, and customers are up there for 5 days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't.
Yeah,
That's a problem that is not. It's just it's a way for me to drown because I cannot.
Practical.
Yes. So we stopped selling them. You know what I mean? We were like, we can't support them. We're going to stop selling them because I can't guarantee, you know what I mean? My 30-day satisfaction guarantee is it doesn't say half the time, you know what I mean? It says you need to be satisfied. And so rewind, or go back to yesterday, or actually go back to the day before June 1st, that Dylan was like, call buddy, they got the right map cards. Well, me and you figured out a problem that made me change my direction. So I don't have those map cards anymore. You know what I mean? Like that changed from the time that he got it from me and it works to whatever I pulled him off. And so his brother gets on the website and goes, that's the map card. I'll order that.
Map, order it.
Yeah.
Yep.
His buddy recommended W. They'll get the right map, send it. Boom. That story changed. So not necessarily their fault. They didn't know that I stopped selling Backroads maps. And so
and being a guy that, obviously Dylan's brother probably, maybe he's never been to Canada, but probably definitely never hunted in BC. He probably didn't know the difference between a Backroads and a Garmin, and didn't even know there was different options.
Exactly. And so you show up to a group, you know what I mean? Like, it could have been me and you up there, Ross. Like, it could have been somebody coming up there and Hunter, this new guy, whatever, grabs his map and goes, hey, here's my Backroads map. And me and you would have thrown it in our device and go, no roads. This is not working. You know what I mean? Like, and we would have handed it back to him like, yeah, that one doesn't work. We would have told him because half the time it doesn't work. You know what I mean? We would have told him a different thing. But and maybe I would have noticed, maybe you would have noticed that, hey, this is a Garmin map chip, not a Backroads map chip. But I can easily see in the moment when everybody's getting, because it's chaotic when you're when you travel to go hunt and it's your first day, you're like throwing chips in, you're trying to get your gear ready, you're trying to do this. Chaotic, you know what I mean? Like little details like this can easily be missed, like 100%. Yeah. I can miss those, you know what I mean? So I can see where it's not labeled, that they didn't watch them take it out of the package. You know what I mean? I'm sure they'd never seen the packaging. All they seen was a little micro SD card that doesn't say anything. And you throw it in the device and you look at the maps and you're looking for a road and you're like, there's no roads on here.
Yep.
That's bad. That map card's bad. And anyways, so I am really thankful for Dylan, because like I said, super cool dude from the start. You know what I mean? Like I'd already figured it out, but even if I had not, he was so low key, so mellow, so like unshaken in a situation that he was probably, if I were to be honest, he was probably a bit shaken. You know what I mean? Like he got hit with a shitstorm from left field that he didn't have a clue about Monday morning, right? You know what I mean? Like if I put myself in his shoes, you know what I mean? Like if I look at the scenario, his Monday morning, he's at work doing whatever, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's got his friends blowing him up. Is this you? You cheapskate? Blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like attacking him, like some internet guys attacking him. You know what I mean? Like that has to shake you up. You know what I mean? I'm not like, it shake me up. You know what I mean?
Naturally, a lot of people are going to be defensive.
Yeah. And so the demeanor that he approached the situation with just says a ton about his character. Like I cannot say enough praise about that scenario, that it's like, dude, I hit you with a shitstorm because I didn't know it was him. You know what I mean? Like I got this guy that I don't know. It's like a no-name guy. And all of a sudden he's got this shitstorm that he didn't ask for. You know what I mean? Dylan was just like, dude, we went hunting and this is what happened and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so I'm just thankful for when I think about how he responded and his tone right out the gate. Yeah, he's a cool dude. And I owe him an apology. You know what I mean? I told him, I'm like, man, that's not how, I was not expecting it. So I did, the one thing I come out of that is holy shit. Like me just posting on Facebook, he's like 3 minutes. He goes, buddy, the screenshot was like 3 minutes old. You know what I mean? That I posted something anonymously without identifying information. You know what I mean? It didn't have a name. It didn't have a whatever, but anonymous post was sent, screenshotted to not his brother that placed the order, but him who placed it for it. You know what I mean? Like that loop was closed almost instantly on Facebook.
Yeah, and I knew who it was. I don't know Dylan personally. Him and I have conversed a little bit on Facebook, and I've heard good things about him, and I remember knowing that he was up in Canada about that time. So as soon as I read that, I'm like, coincidence? Probably not. Like, I think I got these dots connected already.
Right. And that was another one. I come with a text and I'm like, how am I not picking this up? You know what I mean? Like I gotta be a little more social. I got another. Anyway, so that part right there, and I'm still reeling from that. I still don't fully know what I think about that, to be honest with you. Like it reinforces, and I've said this before, that the hound community is very tightly connected, like super tight connected, right? And the fact that a situation goes from no history, customer with no history, his brother, no orders. That name did not mean anything to me because I looking at history, I couldn't find any orders that we shipped to or whatever. I was like, man, to a personal friend and you texting me on my personal line, hey, is that so-and-so? Like almost instantly, you know what I mean? Like that connection happened, word of mouth, super quick. And so I'm still kind of reeling from that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know it's hard to kind of wrap your head around that and the consequences of it, or both good and bad, right? But
yeah.
I think this specific situation it turned out good, but it's definitely something to be aware of, moving forward. I mean, yeah. I appreciate the transparency in it. And it's probably
that's the only thing that saved my ass, to be honest with you. It's only saved. I mean, like,
because you could have fucked it up real bad otherwise.
Like 100%, like 100%. Like,
yeah,
I was close to putting my foot in my mouth, like very close to falsely accusing somebody of something completely wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that part I have to really divest and go, man, like, that's a humbling part of this story that, I don't want to look over very much. You know what I mean? I don't want to just skip over that part. It's like, I was walking myself down a path that was completely wrong. You know what I mean? Like the very first part of the story is call Buddy. I trust him. He'll take care of you. That's how the story starts. You know what I mean? And to get to me over here going, is this guy treating me like Amazon? You know what I mean? Like one side, you know what I mean? Like those are the two, that's the start. And that could have been the finish in how the steps progressed to call Buddy. I trust him. He'll take care of you. To me, you treat me like Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, holy cow, is that a scary, you know what I mean? Like, is that does that wake me up a little bit to go, that's not who I want to be? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's so. Anyways, like I, luckily that's not how it went. I think the only saving grace was that I was very open and transparent, and some good people called me out on it really quickly. And our community, our hound community, is so well connected and so personable. You know what I mean? Meaning it's not just a customer, no name. There's people, there's connections, there's links, and the fact that that link was closed within 3 to 5 minutes of an anonymous Facebook post, that like that's kind of cool on some level. Like, but I'm also like, geez, I was a little vulnerable there. You know what I mean? Like when I look at it, my intent wasn't there, but the transparency does make a guy vulnerable. And so you have to really be willing to take some heat, and somebody could spin it. So yeah. Anyways, I think, I don't know what the story, I honestly don't know all the lessons I've learned from that story, but it's a cool lesson for me. And I'm really thankful for Dylan and his brother. You know what I mean? Like, so
like I said, I appreciate the transparency. The funny thing is this is stuff that I kind of deal with on a regular basis. Now it's, two completely different worlds, versus a tight knit hound community, versus me putting floors down, but we'll have situations where we'll be there doing a floor and a customer will be like, oh, can you do this, do this little spot too or whatever. And
yeah,
I'm always like, oh, do I just do it? Like, it's going to take us like 2 minutes, 2 extra minutes, a little extra material. Do I just do it and just say, don't worry about it, or do I be like, well, nope, that's an extra, 20 square feet times, $8 or whatever, that another $160, and I go back and forth. Cause just like you said, like, if for the right customers that we deal with, quarterly, whatever, like, do the $160 for free. Like, no big deal. But then, you got other customers that's first time customer or whatever. And you're like, all right, we'll do it for free. And then all of a sudden they, you do it for free. And all of a sudden now they're calling and bitching about something stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're kind of like resentful. You're like, ah, damn it.
like, this should be a two-way street, like I did something nice for you or whatever. Like, can you help me out? And it's something I struggle with, monthly, probably at least. And, there's some customers that we deal with that I'm just like, I tell my guys, like, don't, like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Do not do anything extra unless you talk to me first and I tell them what it's going to cost, because they have proven to me if they can squeeze any money out of me on the other side or whatever, they're going to do it. So,
right.
We're playing by the same rules here. Like,
Yeah. And that's the struggle is a business owner. You struggle because there are people who are trying to take advantage of business association, whatever, you know what I mean? Like the relationship of whatever it is. There are people,
and there's people out there that just want something for free, or they're always trying to negotiate down. Like, always like, this is my price. And then they're like, well, I'm not happy with this. So will you take, X amount of dollars? It's like, so those people are out there, and, it's very tough to figure out what the motivation is.
You're mentally trying to battle give and take. It's like going to a car dealership and trying to haggle the price. You know what I mean? Like, you're in this haggle, and it's like you can't let your defenses down, because you're like, he's trying to get this, and I've got to, back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, there are those situations out there, and then on the flip side, at least for me, you can take those situations and bring them to the wrong customer. And like, this is a perfect example. I'm ready to battle. Oh shit. You trust me. See what I mean? Like, if had I known, like, honestly, if I had seen this order and I was seeing the first name, his brother, I would have been like, oh, he's a customer. He's been with us for 10 years. This guy's not trying to, you know what I mean? Do this. This is not the story. Like, he was ordering back in 2017, 2016. I don't know what the date was, but years and years ago, almost 10 years ago, I got orders from this guy. Like, we got a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, and so, you can't. I mean, you can, but I don't want to be the person that treats every customer like they're trying to take advantage of us, like, because they're not. You know what I mean? 99% of our customers are such cool, awesome people that are like supportive and are, you know what I mean? Like, they're the reason we do what we do and what we, you know what I mean? It's like, I can't let that 1% infect the 99%, you know what I mean? Because so.
And also you don't want to create a precedent of being somebody that can be taken advantage of. Like,
oh yeah,
say it was that situation, where the guy's like got the chip before he left for Canada, went and hunted Canada for his 5 days or whatever, got home and is like, well, I'll just send it back and tell him it didn't work or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you just return it with no explanation, whatever. Now all of a sudden that guy tells his buddy that's going to Canada, well, hey, call W, get a chip, go to Canada, come back. When you get back, tell him it didn't work and send it back to him. So it's just like it's a constant battle of just trying to do the right thing, which is, like I said before, why I appreciated the transparency in that.
Yeah.
Because, you pretty much established, like, I'm trying to do the right thing here. What do y'all think is the right thing? And then obviously the story kind of came full circle. And,
you hear these stories, and we're gonna switch gears because I got another problem that I want to kick out to social media. But you hear these stories about people taking advantage of businesses, whether it's the Costco return policy, whether it's Amazon. I mean, my daughter I
got one when you're done. I got one when you're done.
So tell me that. So, but like, and some of it, like, I think, like, my daughter, she uses the return policy on Amazon like it's nobody's business. Like, we got packages, like, but on, this is for clothing, right? Because she'll try these clothes on, she don't like them, she'll send them all back. And I'm like, God, baby, like, you think but in hindsight, I mean, like, the times have changed where we used to go to the department store, you try them on, you know what I mean? So I look at it and I go, okay.
It's kind of part of the game now, almost.
Yeah. If you're going to sell girls' clothing, women's clothing, they got to be able to try them on and see what fits. And they are picky. So if they don't fit, they go back. You know what I mean? Like, so I look at it and go, okay. Yeah, I cringe when I see how much she sends back to Amazon. You know what I mean? But I don't buy my clothes on Amazon because of that reason, right? It's like, I have a hard time. I'm like, I'm not going to buy, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to be like, this shirt's too tight. I'm not, maybe I would send it back, whatever. But anyways, just a different generation or whatever. And I don't know how Amazon and them do that, but any clothing, like cute clothing stores or whatever, the return policy has to be astronomical because that procedure is just crazy for girls that buy stuff online, try it. And I'd say 80% of it goes back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, at least in my family, it was like, oh, this doesn't fit right. This doesn't do this. To the point where they're like, oh, we'll buy maybe 2 sizes and figure out one fits and then send the other one back. And I'm like, from a business standpoint, I'm like, how does that even work? You know what I mean? Like, I can't afford to I can't afford to do that, right? So we ain't making pants or whatever for girls. I can tell you that right now. We ain't making pants for girls. Like, I don't want any part of that, policy, because my daughter, I got one customer like my daughter, bankrupt the whole thing. Like, well, how's the jeans? Well, we got 300 of them out, and 290 of them came back. You know what I mean? So wash them, send them back out. I don't know how that works, but so I look at it, and I'm always looking to battle that front, which is not really there for most of our customers. You know what I mean? Most of our customers are super cool guys, and so it's like, man, I don't know, but you just got to be careful that you don't make a problem where there's no problem. And I almost made a problem where there was no problem. So. What was your story?
So I think it was like my senior year of high school or something. Me and a bunch of buddies went to Madison to the state basketball tournament and stay in a hotel there, and then go watch a bunch of games or whatever. And we brought a PlayStation with us, and we kind of partied up and have a good time. But while we get to the hotel, the goddamn TV in the hotel room's got them locks on the back of the ports or whatever, so we couldn't plug the PlayStation in. Like, oh, well, there goes our plans for the week. Can't play video games. Well, there's a Target right across the parking lot. I got thinking about it, and I had mommy and daddy's credit card, that I could use for approved purchases, gas and stuff. And well, this was back in 03 or 02. So big screen, like flat screens had kind of just come out.
Right.
That like they weren't cheap. Like now you can go get a 50-incher for $130 or whatever, Back then it was like $500-600 for a nice TV. And I'm like, I wonder if I can go buy a TV from Target. We can use it for a couple days and then take that sumbitch back,
repackage it back up,
put it back in the box. And so we walk over there, and man, I was sweating like crazy. And I remember specifically like asking, like, so
just so you know, Ross, your account is getting flagged right now. flag Ross's account. Hold on. I know where this is going. Yeah, keep going.
But I remember asking like the associate, like, so if this, if we don't like it or decide we want a bigger one or something in a couple days, we can bring it back, right? And they're like, well, yeah, as long as you put it in the box and have the packaging just like your return policy is, you can. I'm like, okay, so I swipe the credit card, and also I'm thinking, like, if they don't take this thing back, my parents are gonna kill me. Like, they are gonna be so. And it was too big for my car because all we had was like a little, so we had to carry this thing across the parking lot. We go up to the hotel room, plug it in, play PlayStation for a few days, and then I was like telling my buddies, because we were drinking a little bit. I'm like, you sons of bitches, stay away from this TV. Like, there is a glass bubble around this. No spilling beer on it. Nobody accidentally tipping it over. Like, if I can't return, I'm gonna be dead. So, once you know it, we played for a few days, put that sucker back in the package, and I'm sure I was sweating like a whore in church when I took it up to the return counter, and they returned it, and I was like, oh, thank God. I'll never forget that. And when I saw your Facebook post, I'm like, I wonder if that dude's trying to pull the same thing I did in high school.
Exactly. I'm like, you're taking the tape off that screen really carefully. Like,
exactly.
Don't rip no bags, no nothing. It's like,
make sure the styrofoam, don't break the styrofoam. Like, I don't want him to say, oh no, that styrofoam that goes around, it's broken. Like, nope.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I don't remember what we told. I don't know if I was like, I think I just want to get a bigger one or something. I don't remember what my excuse for returning it was, but
you probably practiced it pretty good.
Carry. I probably didn't sleep the whole time, those whole few days, because I was worried that they weren't going to take it back and my mom was going to kill me.
Oh, that's the shit we're trying to protect, Ross, right there, man. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like you hear, like there's these Costco stories you hear about people using Costco stuff for a year or year and a half, and taking it back, and just egregious, which again, I'm not judging. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I did. I think like I'm. Let me just say, I'm guilty. If there is like Amazon is probably my one that I'm like, nope, it's going back. You know what I mean? Like I think I had a tire TPMS sensor. You know, you got the tire machine, you got to program the sensors or whatever, and it's Altel or whatever, and that tool. I think I was going to send it back. I actually got it figured out how to program the card, my truck tires, and but I genuinely had an issue with the software where it took a long time to get it to activate, and I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get it to work, and I bought it on Amazon, and finally I did something in it. I had already started the Amazon return policy, and you know, because I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get it to program the codes, and so I was like, "Yeah, return." I'll send it back to Amazon, and then I read something or did something and figured out the issue and got it programmed. So I got my truck programmed, and for a second. And I didn't because I still got that device, so I know I didn't send it. But for a second, I almost sent it back. It was like, I'm done. I don't need it anymore. You know what I mean? Like I programmed the TPMS sensor that I had, and I think it was something like you had like 5 unlock codes or something that you could do it with before and whatever. But there was like I easily could have just sent it back to Amazon and got a brand new one or got my money back. And it did cross my mind, but now I got to use that device again because I got another TPMS sensor that went out. So, but I haven't programmed.
So then you'd have been pissed because you had to go buy another one.
Yeah,
had to send that one back then when you were done with it.
Yeah, so I say that to like I'm not judging. You know what I mean? Because I'm there too. You know what I mean? Like it's I just don't want to be treated like Amazon, and it makes me have to really think. Because like I've had actually oil filters that I got that were wrong oil filters in the box. You know what I mean? So like for or oil filters for my truck or the Mustang, and try to screw them on, they don't fit, and I look at the number and I'm like, oh, this, and I know pretty damn good well that somebody probably swap that out, whatever. And I'm like, I'm sending it back to Amazon. I'm like, they probably think I did this. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, so it's messy. It's definitely messy. So with that said, I have another scenario, and we've actually talked about this, but I want to post this problem because how quickly the internet sorted out that situation. I'm wondering, and I don't know if they can or not, but I have another issue that has been hounding me for several months on what the right thing to do is. And I'm going to be transparent and open it up here. But I have this email that I got back on March 20th, and we talked about this on the podcast.
Probably a few months ago, huh?
Yeah, because they asked there. So I'm going to tell the story. I have this, maybe a kid, maybe an adult. I don't know. I'm going to give the facts as I have them. But I got an email on March 19th, and so it said, and I'm just going to say the name because I think people are going to need that name to deduce if this is real or not. Patron Hoffman. And it says, this is the email, March 19th. So I just got 2 Redbone and Walker pups, and they are siblings. One is a boy, the other is a girl. I am wondering if I should get them neutered and spermed. I am 14. Okay, remember that. I'm 14. And I'm working all the time to try and buy 2 Garmin TT25 collars and training collars and a Garmin Alpha 200. I work around school and can work all the time because I'm training them to hunt raccoons right now. And in spring of next year, I might train them to hunt coyotes. Thank you for your time. So I think it's a typo. I think it's supposed to say I can't work all the time, but I don't know. It says I am at work, school, and I can work all the time. So anyways, that's the email. And I took that as and this is the part we talked on the podcast. I said, so my email back to him was Friday. I said, if you're going to keep both, I would probably think about getting at least one of them, if not both of them, fixed, so you're not having puppies with them. Because I focused in on the question, should we neuter them, right? And so I thought it was a kid asking advice, you know what I mean? And whether I'm authorized to give advice or not, you know what I mean? Like, this is my advice I gave him to him. I said, it would not be wise to breed them. Meaning, dude, I've seen you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of good breeders out there that can breed dogs. We don't need brand new hunters breeding siblings, right? I'm like, I said, honestly, I've always had problems with dominance when keeping siblings. So I prefer not to keep siblings when possible. There are a lot more fights and issues when they are trying to establish dominance as they grow. This is my personal experience that keeping litter mates, once they establish dominance, if one doesn't kick the other one's ass, the fights just continue because they never really, one's got to get beat up, right? And I said, my advice is to focus on your favorite one and keep only one of these dogs to train at a time. If you have someone who can take the other dog, you can always add another dog to your pack later once you get the first one trained. That was my reply to him, right? Just focus on the question was, should I get them neutered and spermed? Okay. Didn't think nothing of it. And, well, May 30th, about the same time that probably Dylan is referring W for good customer service, somewhere in that same hour, you know what I mean? I get another email. This gets kind of ironic, but it's like, hey, the timeline, I look at the May 30th. So I'm like, May 30th, about the time that Dylan and them are getting ready to get map cards ordered from W because they trust us. I get this email. It says, hey, I'm reaching out to you because I just got 2 Redbone and Walker plots. Same. They are about 6 months old. And so back up, I never got a reply to my email. Okay. Never heard back from the kid, never nothing. So a couple months later, I get this email. They are about 6 months old, and I took them on their first hunt with my buddy's dog, which is about 3 years old. I used his handheld and collar. Anyways, I'm thinking about getting collars, though they are super expensive. I want Garmin 25s and Alpha 200s, but I can't afford them and have looked at some 15s. But what do you recommend me to buy? Either way, I would spend all my money on collars because I'm only 13, not 14, only 13, and don't have much of a job at the moment. I'm also looking for advice for training them. I don't have a good vehicle to get to my woods because I have a Ta 125cc four-wheeler and is very bad and now engine locked up, and my woods is like 3 miles away from my house. But I'm just looking for a lot of advice, and maybe a deal on a TT25 would be really helpful. So now I'm like,
Heartstrings are getting tugged to touch, but
the first time they were, you know what I mean? So I look at this and I go, on the detail, I'm like, you were 14 a couple months ago, now you're 13. Is that a honest mistake? Is that, you know what I mean? Like, are you really 14? Are you really 13? Or are you a person trying to get a deal? Because you hear these stories, like I've heard these stories about people trying to get a free dog, pretending they're a kid so they can get a dog, or pretending, you know what I mean? Like pretending they're a kid so they can get a tracking system, or, like you hear these stories about people trying to play the system, like, is that what this is? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this is a kid. You know what I mean? So, I don't have a phone number. I'm totally torn on. Now, I'm not giving a TT25. You know what I mean? Like, that's not on the table. Honestly, not even probably discounting a TT25. You know what I mean? Like, if he's really looking for help, I'm like, I can find you a used TT15 and we can catch it. You know what I mean? Like, I can find something
that's going to get you in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't need the top tier system. You know what I mean? You don't need a $1,200 system to get your dog hunting. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you're really these dogs are pups and you're just learning, like, my first advice is let's not worry about the, what a 2-dog Garmin 200 or 300 system is $1,400.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if I gave you a discount, like, still too expensive. You know what I mean? Like, let's find you a used system that gets you out in the woods. But I mean, what do you think? What, like, you know what I mean? Like, how do I'm conflicted.
I don't know that I have much. I mean, I'd be in the same boat as you. You know.
So I like I said, I'm probably going to clip this out and put this on social media. I want to hear what people think. You know what I mean? Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not saying it's going to change my opinion or change what I do, but I'm personally conflicted and I'm guarded. You know what I mean? Like, I'm finding myself guarded where I'm like, if this truly is a 13-year-old kid, I don't want to be this guarded. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to treat this 13-year-old kid on there. But at the same time, I'm like, I gave you some advice. You never even said thank you. You know what I mean? Like there was like, there's little things to this, and I don't need you to say thank you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I expect, a 13-year-old. I'm just saying, if you're asking advice and if you're trying to establish that relationship, following up is communication is I guess is the best way of saying it. You know what I mean? It's like just to ask a question and then get ghosted like a Facebook marketplace. You know what I mean? Is this available? Yes, gone. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like that is a part of my equation. It's like, oh, the only
and
time I hear is like, hey, I'm looking for a TT25. That's what I'm starting to read more and more. Is like, hey, I want a deal on a TT25 the first time, and then I skipped over that. I went with the advice, and then now it's a little more direct. Yeah, I'm looking for a discount on a TT25.
going back to what I said after the first, there's a precedent that you've got to be careful about setting too, because
Uh-huh.
this 13 or 14-year-old kid, you know, say you find him a collar or whatever, and just being a nice guy, like, oh yeah, I'll send you this system or whatever. That 13 or 14-year-old kid could tell his buddy, hey, send Buddy Woodbury an email. He'll get you a collar. So
Yeah,
it's a super
it's
slippery
tough.
slope. I mean,
You know what made me think about that kid? Right, this email was, number one, the situation I had yesterday, but this morning, a couple years ago, I had I won some turkey calls at one of the dinner conventions I go to, right? Raffle package or whatever, and put some raffle tickets in it. I don't turkey hunt. I got some turkey stuff. I got some stuff that I just don't use, right? There's a box. I don't remember what kind of call it was. Anyways, I posted on Facebook. I'm like, dude, if there's any kids that are turkey hunting, let me know. I got this stuff. I'd love to send it to a kid. You know what I mean? Like, give back. Well, I had a guy literally yesterday sent me a picture of the girl holding the turkey, and it says she shot this turkey with the call you gave her, right? And this is yesterday. This morning at 6:30 this morning, Facebook message. So that was kind of like it. That makes me feel good, dude. Cute little girl holding a turkey. Call that I had that was sitting collecting dust, and I was able to send that to this kid to do it. And it's like, that's who I want to be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that makes me feel good. That girl is enjoying that turkey. You know what I mean? And so, if this is that situation, I don't want to miss that opportunity. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it doesn't mean I'm not saying a TT25 call. You know what I mean? But maybe I can be a good dude to that. I don't know. So, anyways, I want to hear what people's thoughts are. How would you sort through finding authentic youth requests or whatever in this situation, and sorting through somebody trying to scam me? Because it could go either way. I could go either way. You know what I mean? Like, what is this? What is this? And I don't know how to flesh it out right now. Yeah.
yeah. That's a tough one, man.
That's why I was like, I'm going to post it. If I want more drama on Facebook, like I wasn't vulnerable enough. Now I'm picking on kids. You know what I mean? Like let's step it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like just go kick some kids' teeth in. Some 14-year-old kids' teeth. Let's accuse them of being scammers. That's a good thing to do, right?
So one thing that I would say before people start answering, put yourself in Buddy's shoes. Don't look at this as somebody asking that somebody sent that email to Buddy. Look at this as this kid sent that email to you, or or me. Like I think about it as I got that email, not you. How
Right.
would I handle it? Because it's way easier for me to tell you, just send the kid a 25, you cheap ass.
Yeah.
Than it is when I look at it. Okay, what how would I protect myself, or how would I see that if I'm the one that is being asked for something free or whatever.
Yeah, because that is one of the challenging aspects is not everybody, a lot of people have an ask, whether it's some cancer benefit, some other benefit, some my church, you know what I mean? Like a ton of people are looking for something for free and good intentions. Like those people are, I'm not saying that's bad. And we try to be a generous company. Like we really do. But we focus on the fight for hunting rights. You know what I mean? Where I try to be most generous is two places: to fight for hunting rights. So associations and clubs that are raising money to fight to protect hound hunting. Like that is one of the staples I look for if I'm going to be generous, right? The second is customers, meaning if somebody has a scenario with whether it's a cancer benefit, whether it's somebody passed away, whether it's an accident, that somebody had an accident and they're trying to raise medical bills. I can't help everybody, but if I have a customer that is a part of the W family or whatever, and they're going through a hard time, I would like to return that favor. You know what I mean? If they have been generous to me and my business, I feel obligated to be generous back. And so, it feels a little dirty, I'll be honest, when I'm like, is he a customer? You know what I mean? So I'm like, and I tell my guys, I'm like, check and make sure that they're not if we have a relationship with that person, I don't want that to be just a standard. No, I'm sorry, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Like if that person has history and a relationship with W and they're asking us to help, then I normally look at, or like I've had customers that have a house fire, right? And it's like, yeah, I had a house fire, and they're calling me, not even asking for something, but they're asking for a quote for the insurance or whatever. And it's like, number one, hey, let me get you that quote for the insurance. Number two, hey, how can I help you? You got kids, you got whatever.
Yeah.
What size are you guys? Like, let me I'll load up some clothing or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, like that's part of our family. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't say family because it's kind of cheesy and it's like whatever, but. And it's not immediate family. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to use that word because it's just kind of cheap. Everybody's like, oh, you're family, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not family, but you are in this W ecosystem. You know what I mean? We have a relationship, whether it's, and it's deeper than just you buy your stuff from me or whatever. I do feel like that connection is a little deeper, but I don't want to cheapen it by going like, oh, you're part of the family. Like, no, but you're a customer that was generous to W by giving me your business. When you need help, I want to be a business that's generous to give back. That's bottom line. You know what I mean? Like I that's the easiest way I can just say it. So, anyways, a little bit of a tangent, but that that's kind of where I'm at right now. I was like, this can easily fall out of the scope of where are we generous? Yeah, we're generous for hound associations that fight for hunting rights. I want to be generous there. And we're generous for customers that are in need of help. You know what I mean? Like I those are two tenets that I want to be generous. If somebody says, hey, you know,
That's where you want to focus.
yep, that's where I want to say yes for sure.
And this is where the exact same quandary I've got myself in like 5 years ago. I was, you know, member of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, member of Pheasants Forever, member of Rough Grouse Society, Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association. I mean, Sportsman's Alliance. I mean, you name it. Like
Everyone. Yep.
everyone. And then there's more organizations popping up. Then Backcountry Hunters and Angle, BHA. And they're all sending me stuff, wanting me to send them, the $50 for the year. And finally, I kind of just got to a point like I'm gonna just stick to my focus. Hounds, the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association, Rough Grouse Society, the things that I am most passionate about. Doesn't mean I think BHA, Rocky Mountain, RMEF, Pheasants Forever. It's like not that I think those places are bad or whatever, but like sometimes you just stretch yourself so thin,
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to be more than just a $50 to these things that I'm passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, is there other ways that I can help out? Is there places that I can volunteer? Is there, extra things I can do and just kind of stay more focused,
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Is like, man, you can stretch yourself thin because you get a ton of requests, and like we do,
I'm not a bazillionaire,
yeah.
I do all right. I can be members of some of these organizations, but I can't just, I can't just chuck money wherever into the wind and watch it blow away,
Yeah. And as a business, like there's a calculation, for donations to clubs and events or whatever, you know what I mean? So like there is a calculation that factors in as more of like an advertisement, you know what I mean? Like being like we've grown our business based on our generosity at events, you know what I mean? So like people see us donate and support us because of that, you know what I mean? Like that is a calculation in the mix that
a piece of the pie. Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to say muddies the waters, but it's a motivation that I have to look at and be like, hey, this is a factor in the equation that it's like supporting these groups. Customers, members see that and come to us. And so, that, you know what I mean? Like that's I get to kind of chalk that up as an advertisement expense on some levels. It's like, hey, this is some of our marketing or our advertisement is supporting the right people at the right time. Customers will reward us for that, you know what I mean? Or whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? Like that. So yes, we're doing it for good intentions. I am 100% a guy that believes in fighting for hunting rights, and I will do everything I can to try to do that. But then when I put the business hat on, it's like, okay, that's my major motivation is like, and I tell associations, I'm like, hey, if I send you, it drives me nuts if I send them a collar and they run it to auction. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, if I send you guys a Garmin collar, that can't go to auction because everybody in that room knows what a collar's worth. And I'm going to send you a $350 collar that cost me, not 350, but there's not a ton of margin on those collars. You know what I mean? I pay the majority, 80% of that cost comes out of my pocket, W's pocket, whatever. And then it goes to auction and and it sells for sometimes less than what I paid Garmin. You know what I mean? I'm like, I paid Garmin, let's just use a round number of, $500. I paid Garmin $500 for this product, or $200 and $300, whatever it is. The dealer cost of that product, those aren't real numbers. I'm just throwing out fake numbers because I don't want to have other people. But anyways, let's just say my dealer cost, I have watched auctions go for less than a dealer cost. You know what I mean? Like, because people in that room are looking for a deal, and it's like, oh, you're gonna, like you auction off an Alpha XL. It's hard to get $1,200 on an Alpha XL. So when that thing starts getting to $1,000, people are going to start slowing down. Like, they're looking for a deal. They'll buy it for $1,000, but for some reason, not always, but most of the time. So anyways, I go to say, when I send a product to a group, I want you to make twice as much as what that costs. So if I send you a $350 product, I want to send it to you because you're going to sell raffle tickets and make $600 on it. You know what I mean? Like, and so that part is, I'm like kind of guarded because I've just seen so many times. It's like, not all and some, but some will take these donations and just try to how to liquidate them for cash. And it's like, okay, you're if you just want to liquidate cash, let me just send you some cash. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to save me money if I just send you the check. You know what I mean? Like, we can skip out the whole, auction deal. It's like, hey, if you're not making, raffles and fun and games to do fundraising in that room and engage with those people, I'll just send you the check. you know what I mean? It'd be much easier for me to just send you a check and be like, hey, here's what I'm willing to donate. And
cleaner for
we can
both
just
of
skip.
us.
Yeah, we can just skip that as long as you're going to do good with the money. So, that's just part of the equation when we're talking about sticky situations. And I think we got on that because we get a lot of requests for either, health and cancer and fires, house fire, I mean, like, you name it, like,
hardships,
different fundraisers. And unfortunately, one of the questions we have to decide on is it a W customer? And if it is, please don't be shy. You know what I mean? Like, come talk to me. You know what I mean? If we got a customer that's going through a financial hardship, because of a fire or, a medical deal, and they're absolutely trying to raise money, like, I want to be at the table. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I want to show up and be like, yep, this guy's I got a relationship with this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I can pitch in my couple bucks or whatever it is that they're trying to raise money on or whatever. And so, but I get so many of them that I cannot say yes to all of them. And that's really kind of heartbreaking for me sometimes is we have to pick and choose. But I don't know. I'm actually, we need to wrap this up, but which is kind of ironic because I'm on the other side of the situation right now, with customer service and a company. So we rebuilt this engine for this Mustang. My son has blown up 3 engines now, but 2 of them. So the first one we blew up, we bought this, a cheap drift car, and we didn't do our due diligence checking it out. And so anyways, the oil was just freaking nasty. You know what I mean? When we opened the valve covers, it was like, holy cow, it was just gummed or whatever. And so, blew that engine up eventually just because the engine was already on the downhill. Bought another engine from a junkyard or a recycle yard, threw it in, blew it up in a couple months. Oil, I think there's a couple reasons we did. We kept running it lean, you know what I mean? And had some fuel surge issues that went lean. And I think, the cause of drifting or racing took the damage to the car, and we screwed up the rod bearings. And so pull that engine out. It's throttled, and so instead of buying another used engine, we're like, nope, we're going to rebuild this one fresh. I mean, from the ground up. Paid a lot more than I want to say we should have paid, but we built the third engine was like freaking dynamite. You know what I mean? Like it was dialed, like measuring clearances, bearing clearances, you know what I mean? Making sure that we got racing bearings put in. We need to make sure we got a good oil pump, a upgraded oil pump. We got a baffled oil pan to make sure that the oil slosh doesn't, have suck air in the oil. Everything we could do to make this car withstand abuse. Okay. Which it wasn't cheap. And a couple weeks ago, so we get it together, fire it up, do the break-in process, heat cycle it. I mean, we're going by the book, like get to the dyno. So we're trying to do the dyno tune to get it tuned so that we can have the air fuel ratio not too lean. I don't go into geeks of it, but running an engine lean when it overheats the pistons and can damage things. And so when you're tuning, you want that fuel ratio just right. And on most cars, you want it steatic or whatever they call it, which is like perfect air to fuel ratio. On a race car, we want it a little bit rich. So we want a little more fuel in the cylinder, which helps cool things. So that's why we're tuning it, right? So we got all these aftermarket parts. We got a special tuner. The stock tune won't work. We're on the dyno and get the first pull. 370 horsepower, 360 horsepower is awesome. It was like, and then every dyno pull after that, we're losing like 10 horsepower. And we're like, what the hell? And we make a tune change and then run a dyno pull. Make a tune change, run a dyno pull. You know what I mean? So we're running it, looking at the data, looking at the horsepower, and going, what's happening at certain different RPMs, the air fuel mixture. Anyways, all that to say, we're like on the fourth. We're just getting where we're like, okay. We kind of chalk up the horsepower loss to heat. It's getting hotter, so we're thinking, maybe it was just cool in the morning, and so we're just losing the horsepower because of the heat. And we hear a tick, a tick, 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 and it's like, we've heard that tick before. You know what I mean? It's like 3 times before, 4 times, twice before. You know what I mean? And after that tick, we kaboom, and so. First thing, as always, it's a lifter. You know what I mean? Always, it's on the top end. We're good. Let's check it out. We pull the valve cover off. Check all the lifters. Crank. That looks good. Nothing's. Can't find anything clacking in the lifters, and throw the oil pan back or the valve cover back on. Fire it up again. Tick tick tick. And my boy gets underneath it and he goes, "It's coming from under. It's coming from the bottom," and it's like. Dang it. We're not running this dyno pull. We're not running the dyno. We got to essentially, it was like, okay, this is coming off the dyno. We need to, at minimum, pull oil filter and see, whatever. So we get it home, pull the oil filter. I cut open the oil filter and it's just freaking creamy, like just bronze, like which means bearings, right? Just bronze soup. If that's what metal and bronze is like, well, that's not what you want your oil filter to look for, And so it's like we're both defeated. Like this is the third freaking engine. You know what I mean? Like, and we put our heart and soul into building this one. Like
you thought you had your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and
every step we could have thought about was like, this thing's going to be a race engine. You know what I mean? Like we're going to make it right if there's whatever. So we got to pull the engine. You know what I mean? We got to pull the oil pan, and it's just metal, like just nightmare. And you go grab one of the rods, the connecting rod bearings, and I can just, my boy just, you can with your fingers, we pull the engine, pull the oil pan off, and with your fingers you can move that rod like 10 thousandths, whatever it was. You know what I mean? But you can physically move that thing back and forth. It's like, well, there's your sound. And so we pull the rod caps off. Sure enough, the journals got some scoring on it. I thought, I couldn't feel my fingernail, but I was like, wow. I was like, we take that apart. It was like, oh, well, this has got to come apart. We got to do all new bearings. The the rod bearing is shot. We caught it early, you know what I mean? Like honestly, luckily it was on the dyno. And if this would have happened on the track, we would have grenaded it. I mean, we would have sent that rod right through the side of it, just like we did before. But because it was on the dyno, we caught it. You know what I mean? When we were doing the idle, we're like, oh, what's going on? So we actually caught it early enough that, but it still did a lot of. I mean, it took out the oil pump, it took out the crank rod journals. Scarred those. Of course, that one rod, it looked okay, but it was, not. It wouldn't fit right together. It was definitely warped from heat. And so, long story short, sent the crank. We turned it down 10,000ths, so the rod journals you take on a lathe, and it was a little bit bent. So, but there was a local place here that fixes cranks, and so they fixed the crank for us. So like $200, $250, I think. Had to order another rod, so we ordered another rod, all new bearings. Sent the oil pump back to be inspected, and of course, it was a Boundary oil pump, and they were cool. They were like, "Yep, it's totally fried. Everything's got to be replaced," but they have a racer's warranty, so they're like, "It's 50% on a racer's warranty." It's like we cover it no matter what you're doing with it. And I was like, "Well, that's what this car was, meant to be abused." And so they were kind of cool that they stood behind their product and was like, "Yep, it's 50%, off a new one, and we recommend you buy a whole new one." And back up. So one of the things when we pulled that oil pan off is there was a couple pieces of welding wire in that oil pan on the magnet. So when we pulled the plug, my son shows me and there's metal, just shrapnel on this plug. And there's two little pieces of wire, like, MIG welding wire is what it was. But it was thin. And so I used calipers and I measured it, and it's like 20,000ths, which is kind of, if anybody that welds, they would know 20,000ths welding wire is pretty small. You know what I mean? Like for most things, it's like that's kind of a specialized welding wire. And so I'm in my head thinking, how in the hell did this wire get in this engine build? Like how did I miss that? You know what I mean? Like, I suspected it came from the oil pan, but I couldn't prove it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, because it's a baffled oil pan, I'm like, how? But some of it, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, how did I miss this? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's freaking welding wire. You know what I mean? Like how does this? It had to be up in a crack somewhere or whatever. And so part of me is, embarrassed, if you will. You know what I mean? I'm looking at this situation, and anyways, we're going back together last week, and I'm like, I got to clean this oil pan really good, and I'm still suspect that that's where the welding wire came from. And as I'm checking, I run my fingers up behind the baffle, and I feel another one. I see another one in the bottom of the pan, and there is whiskers welded into the oil pan. Little welding MIG pieces that are still attached to the welding wire. And so now, 100%, I'm like,
that's a
now
culprit.
I know. Yeah. Before I was really cautious of like, I don't want to accuse, I don't want to assume why I'm getting this way in my old age. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but so now I got an oil pan that had welding debris in it that very likely contributed to a blow up on my engine. And so they were closed all week last week. So I had to wait. And so I talked to him yesterday, actually before this scenario, before my scenario here, I was on the phone with the oil pan company. I'm not using the name, but oil pan company. And I don't know how it's going to go. Like, I don't know what I'm expecting from them as a company. You know what I mean? Like, their first step is they're listening to me, which is probably the first thing I'm asking for, is just to acknowledge that this is not something they're proud of. You know what I mean? I don't think they fully trust me. You know what I mean? Because their email was, can you send me the pan back so we can inspect it and replace or compensate you? You know what I mean? Like it was a real formal email that was like, hey, and I'm like, I kind of want to get this car on the track this weekend. You know what I mean? There's a drift crack Sunday, and we literally dropped the car. This was yesterday, and I had the car on my engine hoist, fully assembled, ready to dive in. We just needed to replace motor mounts, and so I was like, yeah. It was Sunday night. It ran out of time, so I said, we'll do it after work Monday. And so I'm talking or emailing this company, and they're like, can you send me the oil pan? And I'm like, man, if I send you the oil pan, and mind you, I've cleaned it. I'm pretty confident that those whiskers are gone. Like, I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to have that problem again. You know what I mean? Like, I've really looked at it, and I've flushed the shit out of it. So half of me is like, I don't know what you're going to see. You know what I mean? Like, I've taken care of the problem, and I showed them a video. And anyways, I literally, so I said, I'm going to call him. You know what I mean? So I talked to the guy, and I tell him, I say, here's the deal. I don't even know what I'm really asking. I said, it's disappointing that this happened, but I don't want to send this oil pan to you because they're over on the East Coast. So it's going to take a couple days for them to get the oil pan. They'll cut it open. I'm sure they're going to replace the oil pan at the minimum. And so they'll send me an oil pan. So, but it's going to delay me a week. I'm not going to get this thing put back in.
At best, a week.
Yeah, at best. I'm like,
shipping's been stupid lately.
Yeah. And then there's the risk of them. I don't think this is likely, but them saying, well, sorry, it's not our fault, or we don't think that, you know what I mean? I don't think that's not the tone they gave, but I'm like, how much of a hassle is it really worth for me? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would like them to stand behind their product. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that the quality control didn't catch it, and they bear some responsibility in this, but I'm just a customer to them. You know what I mean? Like, what? It's just a good lesson for me to be on the other side of the equation right now in this situation, where it's like, I got a really unfortunate situation that I'm dealing with, and I'm tiptoeing around wanting to call them out on, you know what I mean? Like, right fight, approach them as a legitimate person or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, as a compassionate person, to be like, yeah, like, you own some responsibility, but let's be cool about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just conflicted several different ways on that. It's like, and also, like, it cost me $1,000. You know what I mean? Like,
and a bunch of time.
You know what I mean? And so, like, and then if I'm to be fully transparent and honest with myself, I don't think we flushed the oil cooler on the car between engine number 2 and engine number 3. You know what I mean? So in my head, I'm like, could there have been some debris in that oil cooler that would have had to go through the oil filter because it was downstream? You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to suck back in. It's only going to go through the oil filter. But could that have happened, that it went through the oil filter? And again, I don't think so, because I cut that oil filter apart after break-in, and I didn't see, shit in it. So that oil filter had been replaced. So honestly, we in my head, we should have, like, you just don't know. But I'm like, but if I'm going to be fully transparent, that was not a best known practice to leave your oil cooler not flushed after grenading a set of rod bearings. Yeah, you probably should have flushed that or replaced it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do that.
Was
that
that
was just
the
a
problem?
mistake.
Probably not. But is that something you should have done? Probably.
Contributing? Absolutely. Do I own some, I just got to be honest with myself with this oil company that's like, hey, I fucked up here too. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was the problem until there shouldn't be welding wire in my oil pan. You know what I mean? Like, that's
not supposed to be there.
Yeah. But even that would have had to go through maybe the filter. You know what I mean? Like, even that should have had to go through some stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna get that thing fired up, and maybe the fourth time is a charm. Man, I don't know.
Oh, for your sake, I hope so. That's
Yeah,
got to be aggravating.
yeah. So
All that time and energy, and then all of a sudden it just grenades again.
it it's just. I mean, I tell that story not to bore people with an engine problem, but I tell that story because I am the customer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it is really good. Like, all these things, I don't think all these things are happening right now coincidental. You know what I mean? Like, I think these are just lessons for me to grow, learn, understand, and all of us, you know what I mean? But me especially, is it's good to put myself in the customer's shoes once in a while. Once in a while. Like, I wear my shoes enough, and I don't want to say I always make the right decision, but I want to. You know what I mean? I really do. But it's just a good reflection for me to go, I got a problem with another company, and I could go off the handle. I could make a big stink about it. I'm a little bit wronged, you know what I mean? Like, but how does it pencil out? Do you know what I mean? In the grand
Yep.
scheme of things, how do I want to be as a customer? How do I want to treat them as a company? Which I don't think I know damn good and well that they didn't do that intentionally. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they would not have a reputation if that's what they did. So it's like, this shit happens, and it's just like this. I circle it back to this map card, man. Shit happens. Like, this is the company I want to be, and I'm curious on how that story unfolds. Now the problem is they want me to send the oil pan to them, and I have to first decide I'm not willing to
If
send
it's
it this
worth it.
week.
Yeah.
I gotta pull the K member off of this Mustang to pull the oil pan off, or pull the engine again to pull the oil pan off. And I don't want to pull the engine. So I told him, I said, if I can get it on the track and we can get it comfortable where we got the problem going away, if I can easily pull that K member off and pull this oil pan off, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the debris for you guys to analyze, and let them have the opportunity to try to make it right. And whatever that means, like, I minimum, they're going to have to cut the oil pan off to look at the backside of those welds. So they're going to destroy one oil pan. They're going to send me a new oil pan. You know what I mean? Like, I have no doubts about that. You know what I mean?
But
But
if you got the one fixed up now, it's like, a new oil pan kind of just puts you in the same situation you're in now.
yeah, I got to look at it and go, what's right, what's just, what's not. Like I was talking to my boy. I'm like, man, like, half of me would be okay. They need to see it, but would they compensate us a little bit more? You know what I mean? Like, if they truly said, hey, this is their fault, and the reason I had this catastrophic thing is because of their quality control, and they owned it, they may say, let's pay for the whole repair. Like, that might be one of their, their lines of thinking. I don't know. I you know what I mean?
And they're probably not going to show that hand either.
No, because they don't trust me, or you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
they're saying, "Hey, can you send it so we can take a look at it?" And I get that. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I don't really like, now it's a time thing. I'm like, man, I don't know if that $1,000 is worth it for me. You know what I mean? Because I got to do a bunch of work, and so I'm just stuck in this conundrum. And I imagine I'll send them the oil pan, but it'll be a week or two when I can. I got to make sure that I get this engine running. Like, if it blows up again, I'll be like, send you the whole thing. I don't care. I'm done.
Take the whole works.
I'm out. This drifting kicked my ass. Like, hounds, no problem. Drifting, that drowned me. I'm done. Like, I can't do that anymore. So
I had a situation here a couple of years ago. I was building a shed up at my cabin, and the guys were pouring the slab, and they had like 7/8 of it done. I was up there while they were pouring it. There was zero chance of rain, right? They got this, the last portion of the slab, like they need like 30 more minutes of sun on that thing till they can finish it. Once you
Yeah.
know, this freaking cloud rolls right over the top and it rains like a son of a bitch for like 10 minutes. And that's it. And then it was sunny again and it kind of screwed up that small section of the slab, which isn't the worst spot. It's right where you
Yeah.
walk in the door. And I had a whole bunch of people tell me, like, I would have told them to tear that spot out and report and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't their fault. I mean, could they have put plastic over it? Could they have done this? Could
Right.
yeah, they did. But also it wasn't supposed to rain. It was like
Yeah.
an act of God. And I'm like, I do this stuff for a living too. We've had situations
Uh-huh.
where we've had bugs get in the floor.
Yeah.
Like bugs stuck in the floor. And now the customer's like, well, you're gonna redo it. Right? Well, what the hell? What do you? How am I supposed to control that? So
Right.
like I've been on the other side of it, and functionally it's fine. It doesn't look pretty,
Yeah.
but I'm like, it's no, it's good. Like it wasn't their fault. Like shit happens.
Exactly. Finding that middle ground, that grace, like it's easy to box yourself into right fighting your
Yeah,
whatever your narrative wants to be. You know what I mean? Like you can build your narrative and and sometimes it's like, yeah, let's just work together. You know what I mean? Like
that's
you
what.
kind of said it best was trust. It's a two-way street. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and
it
putting
really.
yourself in the other person's shoes. I tell my kids that all the time. Like when they're fighting, and that I try to do the same thing when I have conflicts at work or whatever. How would I, if I was this other person, how would I see it?
Yeah. We didn't even talk about dogs today, did we?
No, we didn't.
I think we're about done for the day. We're just talking about customers.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
good. Well, I mean, the reality of it is social interaction, which is basically what customer service and what is. I mean,
yeah.
that's important stuff. The hounds and the dogs are the fun stuff.
We have, and I will say that, dude, houndsmen. There's a lot of people that give like a bad rep, like so like you hear the stories of so and so not being trash or whatever. I mean, like I don't know what the right word is, but like they're the scum of the earth or whatever you want to say. Like those,
Rednecks. Yeah.
yeah. But I can honestly say that most, not all, most of our customers are absolutely some of the best human beings on planet Earth. You know what I mean? Our
Yeah.
community is, yeah, there's some bad apples out there, but most of the time, like I I really enjoy my conversations with customers. Like I was really humbled talking to Dylan on how he handled himself in that. And it was just, again, a reminder that, dude, like it's easy to bottleneck yourself down and paint this narrative and go down that road. And sometimes it's like furthest thing from the truth. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to
Yep.
be like, oh, hound guys take advantage of this, or they don't take this, or they don't take. And it's like, no, I'd come to bat that 90% probably are phenomenal human beings. Super, it would help, give you the shirt off your back if you really were down and the community is good. And sometimes we focus on that very small percent that are struggling in society, if that is a nice way of saying it.
Well, and naturally, just like with anything, probably the 5% that are bad or whatever are the loud ones. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
just like with anything with social media and stuff these days, a lot of times it's the fringes that are the ones that are the loudest, and the majority kind of get forgotten about.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Well, Ross, uh, we didn't even touch on this. I was going to talk about, I seen some eSeek chatter, but I'm staying away from it. I'm staying away from it, Ross.
I saw a little bit too, and I was going to text you about it, and I was like,
I don't need any more drama this week.
I don't know
I'm
if I wanna
stirring
go
up
down that
enough
road
as it
right
is,
now.
man. I'm like, I can only handle so much. And everybody's heard my my thoughts, but I seen that and I'm like, but I'm just gonna say the same stuff. Half of me wants to like update my software on the eSeek and go back again, but I know I'm not gonna change minds.
Probably see some minor improvements, but
I bet you I'd see some improvements, but I also I think it would be hard for me to like reverse ship, if I was to be honest, to be like, oh, it's awesome. Like it's hard for me. It's like, okay, I want to say you've had your chance. You know what I mean? Like my review, everything I said, I stand behind. You know what I mean? Like I would not use that system. And I also stand behind the fact that it's going to get better. You know what I mean? Like they're going to fix some of the issues I've seen. And I'm already seeing the comments. Well, and they don't say me specifically, but I know who they're talking about. Is like some people had early versions of them and And it's like, yep, you're absolutely right. And short of me trying to just stay in that boat and try to hammer, you know what I mean? Like that, number one, they don't want me to continue to use it, to continue to expose what I find. You know what I mean? Like you didn't want me to do that in the first place. So I'm like, the fact is like, I don't want to go through that every week and try to be like, well, they fixed this, but now I got this problem. Or, I mean, maybe it'd work perfect for me. I'm not, I don't know, but I'm like, I just don't got the time for it. So, anyways, I've seen, I'm kind of curious to see how the eSeek story evolves because it's going to, I don't think it's going away. You know what I mean? I think that problem is going to grow a little bit. When I say problem, I mean
that community.
Exactly. That community is going to grow where people are saying it's good, and it's going to make people question like what my review or whatever said. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, well, and as time goes on, even I start second guessing myself. You know what I mean? Like I really am like, did I really do it justice or not? And then I think back and I'm like, oh yeah, I did, because I had a guy that bought a 3-dog system that used it for a day and was like, nope, throw that in the trash. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't the only one. And so I got to reassure myself. I'm like, man, I wasn't crazy. But as time goes on, I look at it and I start questioning. And I was like, well, maybe it will be better. You know, like whatever. So anyways, that was just interesting. I seen that today, but I stayed away from it. I didn't even.
I'm still rooting for it. Like, I want it to be a viable option. I think competition is great.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better for all of us in the long run. But, I saw a guy on there, or saw a guy posting something that he had 2 collars that quit working already. People complain about Garmin's not being durable enough. Well, I hardly ever have collars that quit working. Does it happen? Yeah, because I got 12 of them, and now they're all 25, so they're all fairly new. But at one point, I had TT15s that were 12 years old. Like I just don't see how anything is going to outperform that.
Yeah, I actually, almost last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, I had a meeting with one of the Dogtra guys, and I don't think anything major is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like and at some point, if there was going to be stuff like that, I couldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like there'd be there's a trust building, if I will, but I can tell them that I'm like, compared to the eSeek, I would like to see Dogtra do something like that. You know what I mean? Like if Dogtra could come in with a handheld, I think there's potential for that to do something and to grow.
Get some legs. Yeah.
If they were open to listening and feedback and, like genuinely making the product better. You know what I mean? Like if they just build the product and hand it to us, like most of the time what companies do, it's like, okay, well, you either hit it or you hit a home run or you don't. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay,
and they're
really
probably
is
not going to unless their engineers are all a bunch of houndsmen, which they're not. So
exactly. So it's like it's really challenging.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful. You know what I mean? Like what I can say is we had a discussion, and I was able to tell them my thoughts. You know what I mean? And in regards to even the e-seek, I was like, man, I kind of wish this was a Dogtra deal, and I'd have a little more hope, if there will. You know what I mean? Like Dogtra's got some history and some established, protocol for dealing with dogs and being safe with dogs and whatever. You know what I mean? Some motivations that I'm like, that e-seek, the China tracker, just doesn't have. They don't have any history with dogs, period. Whereas Dogtra has a long history of making dog products and some good dog products. And so it's like, I think they have a better head start. But anyways, that happened, but I don't think anything will. I don't think.
Not holding your breath.
Not holding my breath. Like I was a little disappointed in the Compass. Like it's awesome, but it just misses. If I would have been the lead guy in charge of that, I would have been like, hey, you need this. There's a couple things I would have added, which was onboard memory. You know what I mean? Showing my tracks while I'm not connected to my phone. You know what I mean? Like I really think they missed the ball on that. That's my number one disappointment in the Compass is it doesn't keep track of your dog. It only does tracks when you have the iPhone or the app connected.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want this device to track my dogs and keep track of my dogs if my phone is not working. And then I can go get the data afterwards. So who knows? Well, I don't even know. We had a glitch there in the middle, so I don't even know. We got about 2 hours here.
Yeah, it's got to be. So, I think it was 30-some minutes. So before
next time, we'll talk about a dog.
Sounds good. Let's do that.
Let's see your bear hunting. Maybe I'll let you get a couple more bear stories going. You got a story you sent me, text message we'll talk with it for next time.
I will. It's hotter than hell right now. I'm hoping it's going to cool down. I got my buddy from Montana's coming here in a couple days to hunt for a few days. So
yeah,
hopefully it cools down a little bit by the time he gets out or he gets here. So
does it look promising on the weather, or is it?
I wish he was going to be here like a day or two later, because it would be better. The first day or two here might be a little sticky, but we'll do what we can.
Right on. Awesome.
All right, man.